Oh, this is a long time coming. I know I can speak for Lori in this on how excited we are to be doing a exploration tech around Optimizely B2B, specifically having a certified Optimizely B2B developer on our team. I'm excited to have Sam. Not only is he a certified Optimizely B2B developer, but he is one of our new hires here at Brilliance, and I'm really looking forward to the conversation. As always, my name is Jared Hackford. I'm the Director of Sales and Marketing here at Brilliance. I've been at Brilliance for a little over 5 years now, and every day gets better because we get the opportunity to work with manufacturers and distributors who are embracing technology and looking to drive additional growth through their e-commerce solutions. And just always fun to hear about the ideas and the problems they're trying to solve. I'm going to pass it to Lori McDonald to introduce herself.
Yes, hello. I am excited about today's conversation. And before we get into it, a little bit of background on me. I started Brilliance back in 1998. I went to Purdue in computer electrical engineering and ended up through an internship at NASA Johnson Space Center, where I eventually worked as a flight controller for the space shuttle program. It was a really exciting experience. I ended up meeting my husband there. He also was a flight controller at NASA, also an engineering student at Purdue. And eventually they went to work for Rockwell Automation. And we ended up relocating to Milwaukee, Wisconsin when he had a promotion to Rockwell's headquarters. And I was trying to figure out what could be as cool as space. And so in 1998, the web was in its infancy, and I decided to start a web development company. And realized early on that we were kind of uniquely equipped to serve the manufacturing and distribution space with digital commerce through my husband's experience managing the largest data warehouse at Rockwell and my technical background. So that's what we've been doing over the last 20 plus years, is helping manufacturers and distributors implement digital commerce solutions. My husband left his job at Rockwell 10 years ago, and now he leads our development team. We made the Inc. 5000 list last year. It's really exciting. Have been continuing to grow and also continuing to ensure we're working with platforms that really are best meeting the needs of the companies that we're serving. And as a part of that, really excited about Optimizely, formerly Episerver's acquisition of Insight that has now become Optimizely B2B Commerce Cloud, as a software that really enables manufacturers and distributors to get up and running quickly on digital commerce. And as Jared said, really excited to introduce Sam to you all. I've just really enjoyed getting to know Sam through the interview process and now on our team as someone who's really committed to creating great experiences for customers and understands the technology really well. So Sam, I will let you introduce yourself.
Yep, my name's Sam Kitzrow. I'm from the Milwaukee area, but went to UW-La Crosse and graduated with my information systems major. I've been working back in Milwaukee for the last 7 years. Started on the integration team at a financial advising software company. Eventually worked my way to National Business Furniture, where I was introduced to the e-commerce field and working on live websites that are powering businesses. So that's really where my e-commerce experience started about 3 years ago, and my experience with B2B Commerce Cloud. So that's me.
Excellent.
That's me. He's also a former track and cross-country athlete. So if you want to talk about running at some point, reach out to Sam. And how much he loves it. So, you know, we've covered Insight now and the acquisition that Episerver has made in a couple different LinkedIn Live and Exploration Tech sessions. But I'd like to start with what has you most excited at this point with Optimizely B2B Commerce Cloud?
Oh, I have to pick one thing? I get really excited about the features and functionality that are available with B2B Commerce Cloud. And really, it goes to kind of the topic of the conversation we're having today about fast time to value and recognizing there's so much capability within the platform that companies can realize so quickly, capabilities in terms of multiple users per account, budget management, invoice history, all of that is just there and doesn't have to get built by a developer. It gives you a really strong starting point. And with the Optimizely acquisition, so much ability then to further expand that with the other tools that are available through Optimizely. So that's my quick sum up of what gets me excited, but there's a lot more. I'm sure we'll dig into it more in the conversation. Sam, how would you summarize what B2B Commerce Cloud is?
Yeah, it's really a robust platform right out of the box. So you get the technology, the different components of B2B Commerce Cloud, and everything just pretty much works. You're able to do all the different things, such as, somebody logs in and starts adding to their cart, um, all the functionality of creating a guest user, tying that guest user to the cart. If they decide to create an account, convert the cart over to that account, all those different kind of basic functionality that you need to have on an e-commerce website, that's all up and running. And if you want to dive in at any point and customize things, there are so many different points within the platform to inject or override what the platform's already doing. So I think it's really valuable for the developers because they can focus on things that make you different from other businesses rather than putting in tons of legwork on the basics, which can eat up tons of time and resources and really lead to less attention on those types of experiences that make your business unique. So yeah, that'd be my summary of what B2B Commerce Cloud is.
I love it. That's such a great summary. At the end of the day, it's all about ensuring that people are be most efficient and effective with their time.
Sam, you have a really unique experience because, as you mentioned in your introduction, you were at a customer that was leveraging Optimizely B2B Commerce Cloud. I think it was prior to the acquisition when they were formerly known as Insight, but it's still the same platform. And so now you've got that experience, and then you transition to working for an agency. A lot of organizations would love to hear what, in your opinion, is there something about your experience that you could share with them today?
I guess when we implemented it, we were the first customer that went on to the hosted cloud version of B2B Commerce Cloud. I know a lot of other companies took the SDK and then used it themselves. There's a lot of benefits for us to go to their hosted solution. And that's just, once again, taking a lot of that maintenance out of our hands and allowing us to work on the different custom rules and search engine rules and different things that the business wanted that really took a lot of work. So yeah, we were the first customer on the cloud. So for that reason, we worked with Insight support heavily, who was very responsive and pretty easy to work with. So we coordinate deployments with them. And I feel that forced us to really make sure we had our P's and Q's in order on different releases, as well as another benefit to being on their platform was that updates are taken care of by them. So, we would do some due diligence to test releases and updates on our lower environments. But once we felt, things were regression tested and automated tests would pass, we could just write a ticket to Insight and say, fire it away. And so for a lot of reasons, it was a huge benefit to us at MBF to hop on the Commerce Cloud version.
For many organizations that are selling B2B, they love the idea of having something that's going to make their life easier, but also they know that there's things that are very unique to them, and they want to ensure a platform is going to be able to accommodate them. So I'm wondering if you can tell us more about the process for making customizations from your perspective as a developer.
Sure. So starting like on the very back end, you can add custom properties to any object in the database that you want. Custom properties really should be used lightly for light properties. You can also create database tables within your own schema that Insight provides for you. So that's one way you start adding your own custom data. From there, their architecture is made up of pipelines. So these are pretty much the back-end calls closest to the database. And this is where I was talking about how you can inject and override anything within the platform, basically. And so a given pipeline would be, say, get cart, get customer, or get product. Let's go with get product. So say you wanted to add like Prop 65 notes. This is something that's not a concept in Insight by default. So what you would do is, we know that every product's going to need a Prop 65 note, so I'm not going to create custom properties. I'm going to create its own table, because custom properties are heavier lifting and we know there's going to be a lot of them. So once you create the table and import these notes from your ERP, you can add a pipeline to say add Prop 65 note. It's going to use that product number, go to your table that you created and tack it on. You know, the nice thing about B2B commerce and adding these customizations to, from a developer's perspective, is just how sound the architecture is. So I can go in and create this new pipeline and immediately go and create a test class for it and start testing it. Dependency injection is all included. I can use mock to just mock out the different services that are happening within the method and test it easily. So that's one example. There's another injection point called handlers. So these are more like the business logic after the backend repository layer that do the heavier lifting. And a handler can use many pipelines. And really what their architecture uses for the pipeline and handlers is a dependency chain architecture. So the way I would add a handler or pipeline into their chain would be through an order property. So it's just an integer that says which order it's going to run in. And that just makes it really easy to say, okay, so we're adding prices here. I think it's best to add this property after prices. So then I can use the order number after that to inject my custom code. The next point that you can add customizations would be the mappers. So the mappers are what catch the payload from the HTTP request from the front end, and it's about to go into your handlers and pipelines and do all of that. You can override those and customize those as well. So as objects are coming in from the front end, you can customize the object before it's going to go into the back end if you have anything that you need, as well as on the way out back to the front end. And then the final customization point I am going to bring up is the front end Angular. This is for Classic, but the front end Angular JS controllers you can override or custom extend from any of those controllers as well. So that's all your logic on the front end. You know, say you want to customize how swatches are shown to the customer, that's where you would do that type of thing. And then also the CMS, which I forgot to mention, where you can create any type of custom widgets you want so that business users can go in and just pop these widgets into any page that they want. So those are the different sections of the framework that I was talking about earlier that you can kind of do whatever you want with and add your custom functionality.
Yeah, really exciting that it's so extendable and providing tools for developers to be able to accommodate a company's unique needs in a way that's easy to maintain. So yeah, it's really great.
Often, Sam, we find ourselves in conversations with clients or prospects who are at the end of the sales process. They're all excited about moving forward with the platform. And then there's also that level of nervousness. Like, I need to make sure I'm ready. I'm maximizing this investment I'm about to make. What would be your recommendation for a developer to make the most out of B2B Commerce Cloud?
So from my experience, I was quite literally tossed into the project and kind of learned through fire, really. And once I started taking the training, it opened my eyes to so many things that we could have done differently or done better. I mentioned using the custom properties rather than the custom table. There were certain times that we had misused that. And really, I didn't realize it until we had taken the actual training and gone through that. So I really think taking the training is really helpful. If you're able to absorb lots of documentation, you can do that instead. I would still recommend taking the official training. Having a certified developer is really going to help. It doesn't need to be the entire duration of the app. Really, it would just be the implementation, in my opinion. Working closely with the on-site team, that's the customer's team that's going to be implementing this, so that they understand moving forward how things work, what are the best practices in B2B Commerce Cloud, so that you don't have to reach out in the future to ask those types of questions, although it's always an option with Insight to open a ticket and use their team. So that would be another recommendation of mine, is to use Insight if you're not sure about something. Write a ticket. They have a lot of experienced developers on this platform that know the ins and outs of it and could give you the absolute best idea of you should add that to a pipeline rather than a handler, or don't do all that logic on the front end controller, you put that into a handler to handle that heavy lifting, things like that. That would really be my recommendation. Like I said, I was able to learn a lot by just working with it. I'm able to kind of open their ELLs and look at their code very freely and see everything that every chain is doing very, very easily. So that's a big help there. And I think if you put all those things together, you're really in a good place to implement a great solution.
So we've mentioned the acquisition. Episerver acquires Insight. Now Episerver becomes Optimizely. Insight becomes Optimizely B2B Commerce Cloud. I'm curious, with your experience, have you seen any differences based on that acquisition now with the platform?
Yeah, so right when we started up, it was hard to find, all the documentation that you wanted. I'd say since they were acquired by Episerver, the documentation has become a lot more robust. I mean, if you go to world.episerver.com and go to their B2B commerce documentation, there are a few links that give you absolutely everything that's included in the training. So that's what I was saying before, is that if you're really good at going through documentation and really absorbing it, you could probably get away with just doing that, but there's a lot of it there. So that's a great thing that I noticed when they were acquired. And then also a new Spire platform. The fact that they have been putting so much into that has been really cool to see, especially with Classic being in AngularJS and Spire being in React. It really offers a lot of benefits from a maintainability, usability, upgradability, and performance standpoint. So those are the key things that come to my mind when it comes to the differences since they've been acquired by Episerver.
Yeah, it's great to hear your perspective, having worked in it before and now experiencing it now. I know I'm really excited about the personalization capabilities that are available through the Optimizely acquisition, additional experimentation and the personalization through the content recommendations, a lot of capabilities that are available through the rest of the Optimizely suite of products for B2B Commerce Cloud users too. So ERP integrations are often a costly part of an implementation. And I've been impressed with the fact that Optimizely B2B Commerce Cloud has some pre-built connectors for several systems. I think it's Epicor Profit 21, IFS, Acumatica. I know there are some Infor ERPs that have pre-built connectors. Also, though, it can be the case that an organization isn't on that list of products that has pre-built connectors. Tell us about the approach to integrations, Sam.
The approach that we took was, because we had a very, very, very homegrown customized PIM and ERP system. Our ERP was actually built on Delphi at the time, so very, very old system. But we were able to really seamlessly integrate with B2B Commerce Cloud. I would say the approach we took was pretty much creating a copy of the Insight database and mapping our ERP system to that database through stored procedures, and then hooking up the integration processors to just pull and map from the different tables. But really, it makes it really easy to pull from any type of system. A big part of why we did it the way we did it is because of how much data we had, how many products we had, and how complicated our data structure was. We really wanted to make sure that we would have things sound before it would actually go into the site. So that's why we kind of created that staging Insight database. And really what B2B Commerce offers are two different types of integrations, which is a refresh and a push integration. So a refresh is like a pull, and a push integration would be an example of like something that's automatically included in B2B Commerce is a trigger on checkout to submit an order. And that submit order processor, for example, now also has a bunch of different points that we can inject customization into it. So an order submit integration processor is an example. has 3 different spots that you can add customization. So there's a preprocessor, so you can groom the data before it gets sent over the wire to the Wiz service. The Wiz service is something that Insight provides for you. You install it very close to your ERP, and it creates data sets. And then the actual integration processor can be extended and customized as well. So this is what is actually executing on the Wiz server. And I know some examples of this would just be custom fields that didn't necessarily come with the processor that you want to submit to your ERP. So, different statuses that are unique to your business that don't necessarily apply to other businesses. So you could add that field to get submitted and order submit very easily by customizing the integration processor. And then there's also a post processor, which for customizing, cleaning, trimming data, getting rid of duplicates if that's an issue. Basically, another spot within the framework that you can inject your own code and not worry about the base function working.
Yeah, it's really exciting from the standpoint, many e-commerce platforms have, APIs available, but don't have as much provision and services around the integration itself to support someone. So yeah, again, really powerful supporting developers and making it easier to do their work. We've talked about the fact that one of the great values of Optimizely B2B Commerce Cloud is that they're continually developing new features. Sam, are there tips you have for teams to be sure they're leveraging the new features and capabilities that are there?
Staying up to date with Insight is pretty important. So if you're on the cloud, they will let you know that you are 3 months away from being forced to updates, which is a good reminder. That gives you plenty of time to update. That's going to be key as well for Classic. Since the themes are self-contained, we need to make sure that we're manually pulling in the updates that they make to the theme. So that's the front end controllers of the Angular, JS, logic, and the different TypeScript models and things like that. That needs to be done manually. That takes a little extra lifting to pull those updates in. You want to make sure you can utilize the full capabilities of things like A/B testing and sending, different crowds of people to different versions of pages, and doing experiments. All kinds of stuff like that is pretty reliant on staying up to date, which is updating that front end is actually not that heavy lifting. Once you find your own process, you can create a reusable PowerShell script and just update that whenever you want. In terms of other things that you could do, I would just say thinking about, moving to Spire, would be another thing that's kind of a big, if you're somebody who has not implemented it at all and you're making a decision on which one you want to go with, I think Spire is looking like the way to go in the future to really utilize the new features that are coming out, since that's where they're really building them right now.
What are some of the new features you are most excited about?
For Spire, really, it's kind of a more of a general platform thing that I'm more excited about. So, it's really going to put more power in the hands of the business user and allow for more seamless upgrades, because that React front end for Spire, although it's separate, it's built on top of the core platform. So the updates for Spire are actually going to happen with the back-end updates. So there won't be that extra step of making sure that you have that front end upgraded. And I imagine that that's going to reduce a lot of extra costs of putting in that extra legwork to update those. It looks simpler, it looks more intuitive. There's going to be lighter JavaScript payloads because they're using React and server-side rendering, which is going to lead to performance benefits. There's just much smaller widgets, more granular widgets in Spire. There are a few places in Classic where things are just one widget and you have to create some customizations to break that up. Spire, that's not going to be an issue. Things are broken up very granularly there and put more power into the hands of your website admins, so that they're not creating tickets for the developers to do these things. They can do them themselves. So.
Yeah. It is really exciting. B2B Commerce Cloud has been doing work to expand globally, enable VAT calculations for companies that are doing business in Europe. And I know there's also a lot of development being done for vendor managed inventory features that I think are going to be available in Q3 this year. So, just their continued work. And as an example, in the vendor managed inventory, as a part of that, they talked with a lot of customers to hear what customers need. I think that's one of the real benefits of being on a platform that's specifically targeted at B2B users and an organization that really is listening to their customers in terms of what features and functionality they need that you get to benefit from without you having to do all of the development work for it. So.
It was great having you join us here today, Sam. Any closing thoughts, either of you, before we let everyone go and enjoy this beautiful Friday?
My closing thought, thanks for having me. This is a lot of fun. I am just really excited to kind of lead the initiative here at Brilliance on some insight projects. I feel that everything that I've learned at my previous employer and all this training, I'm really excited to create a really cool app. So that's pretty much all I have.
That's a great closing, Sam.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, Jared.
I was going to say, I'm signing Sam up for the sales team. If you want to work with Sam, you want to work with Brilliance, or you just want to have a conversation about how you can leverage Optimizely B2B to support your digital growth, reach out to us. You can find us on LinkedIn. You can email us. You can reach us on our website as well. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today, and hope you have a wonderful weekend.